So another bond character, that is the bond length. Before we have discussed about the bond energy, now we are having bond length, right? Now what is the bond length? Like the distance between the two nuclei bounded atoms in molecule, that is called the bond length. Bond length, like the distance between the nuclei of two bounded atoms in a molecule, that is called a bond length. Unit for measuring the bond length, that is an angstrom. Angstrom, that is unit for finding the or for measuring the bond length. Like bond length is inversely proportional to the bond length is inversely proportional to the bond strength. How? Like if the shorter bond length, if there is the shorter bond length, so the stronger will be the bond strength. Now we are having two parameters of bond length. Two parameters. Number one is the bond order. Another is the bond polarity. These are the two parameters of the bond length. Now what is bond order? Like number of bonds are directly proportional to the inversely proportional to the bond length. Like number of bonds, like nitrogen having 3 number of bonds, right? So it will be having less bond length. Like number of bonds are inversely proportional to the bond length. Like it's having 3 bonds, right? So it will be having high bonds are there, so it will be having low bond length, right? After that, if we talk about the bond polarity is like bond length depends upon the bond polarity. Bond length is depends upon the bond polarity. How? Like we are having hydrogen and chlorine, right? The bond length, that is 1.27 angstrom. This is the bond length of hydrogen and chlorine. So these both are having, if we compare with the chlorine and chlorine, so it is having 1.99 angstrom. So it is having low bond length, it is having high bond length, right? Because these, as I told you, these depends upon the bond polarity. These both will be having high polarity, the bond low bond length, low polarity, high bond length. So that is a bond polarity.